Hey guys, how are you today? I hope you're well. Welcome. If this is your first video with me, hello, I'm Naley Gonzalez, author of the new adult psychic suspense novel Like My Mother Before Me. Every Sunday on my channel, the self-publishing process, and my occasional opinion on stuff going on in the writing world. Into all that, click that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you never miss a video. If you're a returning friend, thank you so much for coming back. In case time has been as much of a blur for you as it has been for me, we're pretty much almost done with February. But that's not stopping me from doing today's video, which is part 1 of how to write historical romances. Historical romances can be tough to write because of the accuracy needed of the historical information, particularly with the world building. On top of this, your characters have to be accurate in regards to the time period. This means their manners, their behaviors, their beliefs, and their voice. This is why proper research and world building is crucial. to writing any historical part of, well, any fiction. And I'm going to help you with these 6 tips to writing the past accurately. Number 1, pick your time period. Some of you are like, well, duh, Naley. But this is an important step for a specific reason. You cannot take whatever historical tidbits you might know and toss them all together. Then change the time period the story takes place in just because your character suddenly needs to use a phone. Once you've picked a specific time period and year, it'll be easier to world build and tell your story within the rules of that era. Number 2, do your research and double check your sources. If you're like me, this part might take a while. I love learning, so it's really easy for me to end up in a research black hole. So a quick tip to not end up researching forever is to make sure what you're reading or looking up is or will be relevant to your story. This way, you're not reading up on which flower represents each individual god in Greek mythology. I just needed to know if roses were common during that time. There are a lot of Greek gods, guys. It was like an hour before I realized I was way off track. But I learned some stuff, and yes, roses were common during ancient Greece. Now, when including any part of history in your writing, the research you do is crucial. The internet might pretend to be your friend and make things easy, but just because it's on the internet doesn't mean that it's true. Make sure you cross-reference and use official and reliable sources such as books, newspapers, art, and anything else from that time period, if possible. Also, don't be afraid to check out history books about the time period you're looking into. Your local public library is the perfect place to take advantage for this, because not only is it possible that they might have some resources, but they can also check to see what other libraries in the area might have in their catalog to aid you in your research. Now, when it comes to reading books in the same genre, apply the same rules you would when using the internet. Double check everything against multiple reliable sources. I say this because there are writers who are extremely lazy. It's sad to admit, but it's true. And worse, you won't figure it out until it's too late. Don't believe me? Go ahead and do a quick search on the author John Boyne. Then let me know in the comments if you heard about it or not, because the situation was absolutely foolish. Listen, all I'm saying is do the work, guys. Number 3, pay attention to detail. Like I said, don't be lazy. It'll show. Everyday objects and items we currently use were invented during some point in the past. There are things we use now that weren't even a thought in the early 1800s. And there were things in the 1800s that were essential to daily life, but are practically useless now. When doing your research, pay close attention to the details. Take note of personal hygiene, forms of transportation, if indoor plumbing was a thing during that time, or if everyone used an outhouse. Were cars even invented? If so, what kind of cars were available? Take a step back and take into account everything that happens in your story and make sure it matches the time period you've chosen for your story. Keep in mind regional and cultural differences too. Things from social behavior to daily attire can vary from the West Coast to the East Coast, the same way it can vary from the US to the UK. Number 4, create your world. You did your due diligence and now it's time to world build. Honestly, you can start world building whenever you want. You can create the story and build as you go. You can create the world first, then create the story within it after, or you can write the story first, then construct your world around it. On that last one, be sure to keep your story fairly open to potential changes stemming from the world you create. If by chance you're writing a different genre like sci-fi or fantasy, then you don't have to worry because you'll be creating your world from scratch and can change it any way you want. Unfortunately, this doesn't apply to historical romance or any historical fiction because you need to be authentic to the time period you've chosen for your novel. While there's nothing wrong with being creative and taking some liberties, make it clear to your readers that that is intentional. This way you don't have people in your comments, inbox, and reviews complaining about inaccuracies. But I do have to warn, there's always gonna be one. Number 5, learn the culture culture and customs of the times. In historical romances, culture and customs of the time period is crucial. The most common internal conflict of the heroine is the conflict of what she really wants versus what society says she has to want. The same applies to the hero and other male characters. What he wants to do is in conflict with what society wants him to do. If you want your historical romance to truly shine, make sure to research the culture of that era, the customs of different groups of people, and how these customs impacted their daily lives. As a quick side tip, don't make all of your characters open-minded. There has to be a couple of characters who believe in the system. If everyone were open to change, then you might as well write a more contemporary story. Be sure to have individuals who are representatives of the time period. This way, the open-minded characters will be way more impactful. And number 6, learn the rules to courtship and dating. If you ask your parents and then ask your grandparents what dating was like when they were out looking for the one, they're gonna give you vastly different answers. I mean, we're only like a year and some change into 2020, and dating now is dramatically different than when it was in 2019. The rules to courtship and dating rely heavily on customs and culture. Learning these rules during that specific time will help you build romance around it. You're more than welcome to break those rules or write a unique story around them. Love is found anywhere at any time, and that's the point of romance novels, no matter the time period. You can write a whirlwind romance that stays within the rules of courtship and dating, or you and your characters can be rebels and kick those rules to the curb. The choice is yours, and the great thing about it is that no matter what choice you make, they both have the potential to be compelling and make your readers swoon. And that's all 6 tips for part 1 of writing historical romances. Ready for part 2? The link will be down in the description when it's live. And if you think research matters, and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss part 2 of writing historical romances or any other of my videos, and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss part 2 of writing historical romances or any of my other videos. I post new content on Sundays, so turn on your notifications to see my pretty face and hear my informative ramblings. As always, thanks for watching. Until next time.